Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my first webinar Wednesday. I am Kiki the Realtor, and today we are going to go over the home buying process. We're going to give a few more minutes for people to jump into the chat. Please, if you're here, share with me where you're here from. I would love to kind of connect with you guys, and we're going to go ahead and get started in about another minute. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So real quick, a quick rundown of the agenda. Today we're gonna go over some housekeeping rules real quick, just to kind of make sure we're all on the same page and that this can run smoothly. We're also gonna go over the steps to purchasing a home. This webinar is based on the basic knowledge of home ownership and how to own a home, how to purchase a home. So we're not going to get into specifics. We're not going to get into the difference in lendings and all of that other stuff. We will have separate webinars for that. Today is a basic walkthrough of the process of purchasing a home, so that if you were any random person on the street and you knew someone wanted to buy a house, you could kind of walk them through like the quick, easy process on what the process kind of looks like. So step one, so first with the agenda, housekeeping. We ask that everyone keeps their mic muted. Feel free to ask questions, however, feel free to use that chat, throw your questions in the chat. I will be more than happy to answer any questions that come through the chat. I may wait until the end, but I will get to all the questions as best I can. I ask that you keep your questions related to the actual process. Again, we're not going to go over anything specific to a transaction. We really just want to run through the process so you know how it's done and kind of have an idea of what to expect when it's your turn. We also want to let you guys know that this video is being recorded. So if you knew someone who you wanted to invite to this webinar and they couldn't make it, no problem. The recording will go up on my YouTube hopefully tomorrow. So that's, a resource that you can send them to. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Jump right into the first step. Step one to purchasing a home, the very first thing you need to do when you are purchasing a home is a pre-approval. Okay, so when you go into the pre-approval, the one thing you want to know right off the bat is you want to have a general idea of what is on your credit report. Now, I am absolutely not saying that you need to go out here and read a bunch of books on analyzing your credit report and knowing how to analyze it and things like that. That's not necessary, but you do want to have a general idea of what is on your credit report. The next thing you want to do is find a lender. You want to find someone who's going to be willing to loan you this money. Purchasing a home can run you anywhere from $50,000, $60,000 to anywhere up to $1 million, depending on your budget. So you want to find a lender who is going to be willing and able to loan you this money. Well, the question we get all the time is, where do we find these lenders? You can find mortgage lenders at any bank or your local credit union. You can find a mortgage lender through a realtor. A lot of realtors, any good realtors at least, partner with more than one mortgage lender to be able to provide to their clients. You can find lenders through social media. Right now, social media is one of the largest marketing platforms out there. So you will search anywhere. You can go into Facebook, TikTok, and type hashtag mortgage, hashtag mortgage lender, and you will find a slew of mortgage lenders who are ready and willing and able to assist you. And if you have a friend who owns a home, you can ask your friend, who did they go through for their mortgage loan? Anyone who wants to see you when it succeeds will be more than happy to refer their lender to you. So that is one thing that you want to do when you're going through the pre-approval process, is find a good lender. The lender is the one who's going to issue you that pre-approval letter. Now, some lenders may ask that you pay down debt. Some lenders may pull that credit report because you have a general idea of what's on there, right? You know that you have a credit card that is probably maxed out. Some lenders may pull your report and say, all in all, you got a good thing going here. We may be able to do something. We just need you to pay off one or two things. So have that in mind when you're going through that pre-approval process. There is a fine chance, there's a good chance, I'm sorry, there is a good chance that you may have to pay down some debt, okay? So for the pre-approval steps, you wanna have a good idea of what's on your credit report. You wanna find you a good lender, someone who's gonna take time with you, make sure you get that pre-approval, go through all of the things they need you to have, and you wanna possibly pay down some debt if that's something that may be holding you back. So the next step, oh, we're gonna run back real quick. Stop you right here. When we get to that pre-approval process, guys, it is extremely important to stop applying for any new credit. Do not apply for any new credit when you are ready to go through the pre-approval process. Once you have been pre-approved, do not apply for any new credit, guys. I am telling you now, that will hold up your deal. So once you start to think, I'm ready to go ahead and buy me a house, I think I want to go ahead and get pre-approved, you want to stop applying for new credit. Okay? Just don't touch it. Don't do anything. Don't put a freeze on your credit report because the lender will have to pull your credit report regularly until you get to closing, but you don't want to apply for any new credit. Okay? Let's keep going. All right, so the next step in this process is hiring an agent. You need to find a realtor. That's me. You want to find you someone like myself who is a real estate professional. They should be knowledgeable about the market in your area. They should be professional. They should have a general understanding of contracts and how to negotiate those things. Yeah, but I mean, you should have an agent who also has resources. They should be a resource to you. Do they know a title company? Do they know a home inspector? Do they know an appraiser? You want to have an agent who is knowledgeable and has resources, okay? So hiring an agent, it sounds super easy. You just go in there and find you an agent and pick one. But I always like to say there are a few things you want to ask yourself about the agents you're interviewing with. You want to know, do you relate to them? People want to do business with people they relate to, people they like. Do you relate to them? Do you guys have anything in common? Yes, the purchase of a home is a transaction, but your realtor will be in your life from the time you sign that buyer broker agreement, probably until your kids are ready to buy. That's someone who you want to have a real relationship with. So you want to make sure you can relate to them. You also want to make sure you can trust them. This is someone who is handling a $100,000 transaction in most cases, over that. So you want to be able to trust them. You will be likely handing your realtor money, cashier's checks, and things like that for thousands of dollars. So ask yourself, do I trust this person? And lastly, and to me, one of the most important questions you want to know is, do you like them? Your realtor is going to, by the end of this transaction, she's going to be your friend, he or she, they're going to be your friend. You want to work with someone you actually like. The amount of time you will spend with your realtor going from house to house, showing open houses and things like that, you want to be in the presence of someone you like. So make sure that when you are looking through for an agent and you are reviewing and interviewing agents, make sure you pick someone you actually like. Okay, so we're going to keep moving. Step 3 in this process is to look for houses. So by the time you got here, you have selected the agent who is going to close this deal for you. You've got a lender who issued you a pre-approval letter. You know how much you're ready to spend. So now it's the fun part. Now we're going to go look at houses. You want to find properties that you want to see. Okay, where do you find these properties? Your realtor will have a website. You can find properties on their website. You can find properties on places like Zillow and Trulia. Most realtors' website is linked to your local MLS. If it's not, you can always check your local MLS. You want to make sure you have a realtor who's linked in with that. You can find properties driving around. If you know someone in your area who said, hey, I saw this sign for sale by owner sign, that's something that you can look into. That's how you find properties. Drive around in your local area, ask your friends and family. They're a great resource. And if your neighbor, your mom's neighbor is selling her house, mom may have an idea of that, especially if mom's seeing the sold sign outside on her way to work. So that's the process. That's the step in this process. I'm sorry. That's one step in this process to getting you your home is actually going out and finding them. You can also go to open houses. Open house is a great way to see different homes and go out and find homes. You also get to meet people in that aspect. If you don't have a realtor and you go into an open house, guess what? You may connect with a realtor who you like, who you'd be willing to do business with. So that's the fun part, is going to look at houses. By the end of this step, the goal is to go under contract. Okay. So what that means is you found a house that you love and you just tell your agent, this is the one. I want to go under contract, put an offer in. Okay. That is step 3. Step 4 is once you're under contract. So to get under contract, what that means is that you have submitted an offer in writing. The sellers have accepted that offer, and now they can no longer show that property to other prospective buyers because they have accepted your offer. You also no longer are looking at other properties because you have submitted an offer that has been accepted. So once you are under contract, this is when the real work begins. So some of the things you want to do when you get under contract, you want to secure your mortgage loan. Okay. So remember, we went back to step 1, we got a pre-approval. Guess what? What happens in step 4? You actually apply for your loan. That is something that will happen in step 4 once you're under contract. Some other things that'll happen in step 4, you'll have your home inspection. Your home inspection will happen. That's when an inspector will come in and look at every nook, every cranny. They will look through every window. They will open every door. They will climb on the roof, go in the crawl space. A home inspector is going to do a thorough inspection of the home to let you know what condition the home is in. Well, what generally happens after that? Negotiations. We go into negotiations after the home inspection, assuming that there are things that you decide, hey, this has to be fixed before we can move forward. It'll negotiate back and forth between the sellers and the buyers, and then we'll come to some kind of agreement. Another thing that happens when we're under contract is your appraisal. That is when an appraiser will come out to the property and they will make sure that you are actually paying what the property is worth. You're not overpaying for a house. You do not want to do that. You don't want to overpay. So those are some things that happen when you go under contract. Now let's talk about some things that you should be aware of before you actually go under contract. Let's talk about some of these upfront costs, because that's when they take effect, is once you're under contract. Some upfront costs that are standard in this industry is the earnest money deposit. What is an earnest money deposit? An earnest money deposit is like a security deposit if you ever rented an apartment. It is money that is held in escrow that you supply, that goes towards the purchase of your home. This money lets the seller know you're serious. Most cases, sellers want to see an earnest money deposit of anywhere between 1% or a set number. 1% in this market here in Richmond, Virginia is usually standard. It could be higher. I've seen earnest money deposits as low as $500 in a traditional transaction. So that's something that you guys want to keep in mind when you're ready to purchase. You want to make sure you have that earnest money deposit set aside. Another upfront cost, remember we said when you're at this step, you have to have the home inspected. Home inspection is another upfront cost that has to be paid before the inspector will release the inspection report. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that the home inspector will come out anywhere between anytime over the next 7 to 14 days after you're under contract, and they'll inspect the home. In order to release that report to you so you can start negotiations, you have to pay the home inspector upfront. That generally runs about $400, maybe $500, depending on the inspector you choose. Also, another upfront cost, remember we talked about this earlier too, the appraisal. That is an upfront cost. That is a cost that is collected by your mortgage lender to make sure the house can be appraised. A mortgage lender, traditionally, all mortgages require an appraisal. Not all mortgages, but all mortgages require an appraisal. And when we do our loan webinar, our financing webinar, we'll kind of go into more detail about that and the different types of loans. But yeah, guys, those are some of the upfront costs to be aware of. Another one that's not on here that I want you guys to be aware of is your closing cost. Okay, closing costs are paid to the title company. The title company is the people who facilitate your closing, and we're going to get to that in just a second. And you will have to pay your closing costs at closing. I like to include those with upfront costs because a lot of people don't think about those. We only hear down payment, down payment, down payment. There are closing costs associated with the purchase of a home that are separate from your down payment. Okay, so we'll get into more of that into another video, but I do want you guys to be aware that closing costs are a upfront cost that you should be aware of when it comes down to purchasing a home. Okay, all right, we're going to move on to step 5. Step 5 is the step that we thrive for. This is the time to party. We are at the closing table. We are signing the deal. You are getting your home. Okay, so what happens at closing? So generally at closing, there are several people in the room. You obviously, oftentimes your realtor, and then your title company or your attorney or your signing agent. These 3 different types of people all do the same thing. They facilitate the closing. Okay, so most cases, you use a title company. You do not have to use a title company. You can use an attorney. You can use a signing agent, but they all will do the same thing. They will conduct a title search. What that means is they will make sure that the person selling you this house actually has the right to sell you this house. They will make sure that they own the property and the title. There are no liens on the title. They want to make sure that there are no extra people on the title who are not involved in the sale of this home. Your title company is going to make sure that everything is on the up and up when it comes down to the actual ownership of the property. You do not want to get into a property and they have not done a title search, and then Aunt Pam's great niece comes out of somewhere and says, hey, Aunt Pam left that to me. My mom signed off, something like that, where she's got claim to the property. So you want to make sure you have a title search done. Your title company or attorney will do that and make sure that is done before you close. They'll also prepare your documents. So you're getting a mortgage. You're making a 30-year commitment. There are contracts that need to be signed. There is a very thick stack of documents that you will sign on closing day. Your title company will make sure that is all covered and taken care of. They'll make sure every document you need is there on closing day, and they will explain to you what it is you're signing. Okay, they're going to hand you some papers and say, hey, this is what this is. This is what that means. Okay, title companies are extremely important. You can find them anywhere if you Google, or your realtor may have one. You do not have to use your realtor title company. You can use any title company you want, but make sure you ask your realtor if they have a recommendation if you don't know one. Also, when we get to the closing table, another thing that happens is you pay your closing costs and down payment. So remember, just last slide, I said we'll have those. This is when that happens. This is when you hand over a cashier's check for whatever that amount is. The cashier's check will generally include your down payment and any closing costs. you will pay that to the title company, and they will make sure everyone who needs to get paid does get paid. Oftentimes when you sell a house, or when a person sells a house, they already owe a mortgage. The title company will make sure that the mortgage company gets paid. The title company will make sure that the listing agent gets paid, okay? So the title company makes sure that everybody who should exchange funds, that happens, they take care of that. Oftentimes, let me rephrase that, not oftentimes, sometimes you receive money back at closing if you've overpaid on your down payment. The title company will make sure that you receive that back, either right after closing, or they may hand you a check at closing, depending on how that works, okay? So at the closing table, you're gonna have your title company, you're gonna have yourself and your realtor. You're going to sign some documents. You're going to hand over a big fat check, and then you're going to get your keys. This is also when you get your keys and we pop champagne and celebrate, because guess what? You are now a homeowner. Once you have those keys, it is all she wrote. You have a property that you own, and you can go and start moving almost immediately. I mean, you can have movers there that day if you want to, because then it is all yours. This is what we get to. This is the moment that we all want to get to. This is the time where everyone is happy and smiling because you own a home. You've accomplished something major, and this is the time to celebrate and have a good time. Okay, so I want to check the chat and see if we have any questions. Okay, no questions just yet, but please, guys, if you feel comfortable, if you need to ask a question, throw it in the chat, or you can email me at kiki.alston@iamkikitherealtor.com. I want to say thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Here, this is my first time ever doing this, and oftentimes I put these things off, but I like to think and reflect on this here saying, where it says, imagine where you would be in 6 months from now if you did one thing every day that got you closer to crushing your goals. Guys, every day I'm working hard at crushing my goals, and you guys can do that too. If owning a home is something that you want to do, if that is a part of your plan, if that is a goal of yours, give me a call. Reach out to me. I'd love to help you with that goal. We can start, even if you're not ready, you don't know if you're ready yet. Give me a call. We can talk about it. We can see what your plans are, and we can put together a plan that gets you where you want to be. My goal for this webinar today was to educate you guys on the process, so you can start thinking about, is this something I want to do? Is this something that I'm ready for? I want you guys to go into the road of home ownership ready for whatever comes with it. Okay. I want you to have this in your arsenal so you can come in and say, I know a little bit about the process. I'm ready to get started. Okay. So if you are ready to get started and you think that you're ready to start your home buying journey, call me. My phone number is 804-475-6024. Yes, I put that in this webinar that will be published on YouTube, because I want you to know that I'm here to help you. I am here and available anytime. Okay, anytime. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I will link those. I will link those in the post once it's loaded up on YouTube. You can also email me. You guys got my email again. That is kiki.alston@iamkikitherealtor.com. I will drop that in the chat for you. Thank you guys so much for being here with me tonight. I really, truly appreciate you. And until next time, bye.